Friday morning. I know I said I was going to do this next week, but Matt went to work this morning. And in general, I do these on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays because that's when he goes to work. When I'm doing these, I'm up here in the kitchen and he's working downstairs down that way. And it basically, everything I say gets funneled down there and into whatever meeting he's trying to do in the morning. So on Mondays and Fridays, I don't do a coffee thing. So he got up at 8 o'clock this morning. It has been a week for him because, like I said, the company's had folks in town from the different branches that they have in different states. So they've been kind of entertaining people and touching base with people to, do that whole synergy thing that I sometimes think is bullshit, but I think in like his industry where there are a lot of computer related stuff going on and being together in a room to collaborate and actually collaborating rather than just, being in an office ready at any point. Because there was their excuse for me when I was working, was that we need you to be in the office so that if we need to get a meeting together, you can be right there. And I'm like, that never happened. So MI's thing was nonsense. They built a building, it stood empty for like 6 or 7 months because of COVID. And the investors and the owners shit their pants. And they're like, there have to be people in this building at all times now. We can't have that. So they mandated everybody work at work and nobody could work from home. That was a mandate. And then they kind of passed it off as everybody should be back to work and we should all be collaborating together. And that's not something that ever happened in my department. But anyway, enough of a rant about that. The fact that he's had a lot of people in town, the business has, means that he's had to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes he doesn't have meetings until 10, so he'll sleep until 9:30. So that's meant some different hours for him. And what's worse is that he's not really getting home until late, which means he's working all day. And he's a manager, so he manages an entire department and a group of people. So, he does a lot of work, manages a lot of stuff, and handles a lot of customer service. He also does a lot of stuff with vendors. A lot of picking and choosing vendor stuff. So, he does, his job is a rough job, but he enjoys it. He loves it. At least that's what he tells me. And I have no reason to doubt that. So, he's been from Tuesday till today. He's beginning up at 8 o'clock in the morning. And you can tell he's dragging ass when he gets home. And it has been very long days. Last night he didn't get home until 10:30 at night. So, because they went out to eat. They've been going out to eat every night since Tuesday. I don't know if today's going to be the same. I think everybody leaves today. So maybe they wanted one last in-person meeting. I don't know. I'm not privy to that stuff. He can tell me all about it next week when he's awake. And I'm hoping that this weekend is a football game that his sister goes to because it starts at noon, which means his father's going to want to get down there by 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30. They're going to want to go to the band's practice session that's held in St. John's Arena that they call the Skull Session, and all of that. He's just going to be dead tired. He's going to be tired of the world, and I probably won't see him on Sunday because he'll be sleeping the entire time, which is fine. I have no problem with that. I just don't want him to be tired. So, but we'll see. Hopefully this, like I said, this weekend is his sister weekend to go watch the footballs down at the shoe. So, we've got some beautiful fall colors going on right now. I had figured with the tree stress over it not raining for almost a month, and then it rained a lot, and then it hasn't rained really a lot since. This morning it did thunderstorm a little bit, and maybe about 5-10 minutes of small little rain because the sidewalks are wet outside. But I figured that we wouldn't get much of a fall foliage, whatever, but we've got some pretty orange and red trees going on out there. And before they built phase 2, we had a wonderful view of the woods behind us, and now it's just beige and gray houses. So you really can't see anything back there anymore, which is fine. It's okay. I got an entire field in front of me. I don't mind that at all, really. So, but yeah, we've got some pretty fall colors going on right now, near the end of October. We're gonna do this in the Clever. We're gonna see how much that changes the taste, and if it changes the taste as much as the butterscotch beer was changed yesterday. So let's get this ground up and see what we can do. It's just a funny smell that they've added to this. Oh! And I got kind of a little bit of a burst of chili smell. And it's something that I always seem to forget, but I'm remembering now. Sometimes flavor profiles on the side of bags include smells. Smelling is a big part of tasting. So, you know, if it smells like chili, maybe you'll get a taste of chili, that kind of a thing. So it's a lot of notes, and a lot of notes is you know, it's the smell. So sometimes I forget that. Just about, a little bit longer. So I'm excited to see how this changes. I don't know how much it'll be. I mean, if it's as dramatic as the butterscotch was, it'll be very interesting. A couple of notes on that as well. Went downstairs, started editing, drank some more. As it cooled, the flavor was still bitter, but I got more of the butterscotch flavor. So as it cools down and sits for a little bit, it actually improves, which I thought was great. So what I'm going to do is, I've got 32 grams in here right now. I'm going to take it up to about 400. And we don't have to bloom because it's going to sit in here and steep like a tea. But we are going to do our best to get everything wet. I'll start the timer anyway. I'll probably try to let this go for about 4 minutes. I let it go for about 5 minutes yesterday, and I don't know how much everything seemed to change. But I will say, even though it may have been just a little bit longer than I might have wanted, the flavor was a lot better. So we'll try to go for about 4 minutes. I got about 400 milliliters or 400 grams of water in there. And we will steep, and then we'll put it in here. And what was also really interesting is that the color didn't change that much. It was still incredibly dark. It was still incredibly dark coffee. If I get the coffee family's coffee down here, grind it up in the same way, put it in here the same way, and dispense it in the same way, it's not going to be nearly as dark. At least it hasn't been, as if I remember correctly. Brain things, you know. So Manikiniko. It would be fun to go to Japan. It's incredibly expensive. Once you get there, it's not, my understanding and from what I've seen, because the yen is a lot less strong. 100 yen is close to $1, that kind of a thing. I'm not sure how far off that is. I know it's more than $1, but 100 yen is still, you know. So once you get to Japan, I don't think it's nearly as expensive as one might assume. However, you got to get to Japan, and that's thousands of dollars. I don't know. I think it was last year, the last time I looked. And it was just incredibly cost prohibitive to journey to Japan. You know, it's like Japan and Australia. Australia would be really cool. I think that would be a beautiful place to go. New Zealand would be amazing to go to. New Zealand's beautiful. You know, South Korea would be interesting. guided, like Japan guided and South Korea guided, because the food in South Korea looks fantastic and amazing. I kind of wish China would be less problematic. I would love to visit the Sichuan province of China. I love Sichuan food. It would be amazing to just have that in China, you know? Just stuff like that. It would be really great to travel. But the way they do the cost for travel right now, it's just... I remember when going to Vegas was not $300 a ticket. You know, of course, I also remember the tail end of like dinner at Vegas being incredibly cheap because they expected you, dinner and drinks being cheap because they expected you to stay at the gambling tables and gamble all night. So that's how they got their money. So I remember those days. Now Vegas is more touristy. Well, that's a dumb thing to say, isn't it? Now it's more for tourists to come look at rather than tourists to come spend money. People do go there and spend money on gambling, but I think it's far less now than going there to places to eat, to luxurious hotels to stay in, because, you know, you get on the 50th floor of one of those taller hotels and it's facing the Strip. The views are gorgeous. I mean, just neon bright, beautiful. And they're wonderful. I love those views. All right, for 4:15, we'll get this down here. Ooh, you know what? We'll do it this way. How's that? I haven't done one of those in a while. That's cool. I will say, much more of a chili kind of nose opening smell. It doesn't open your nose, but if you've stuck your nose in chilies before, there's this point where the smell feels like it's going to open up your sinuses. It's that kind of a smell, except it's not opening up my sinuses because there's no, you know, whatever the capsaicin or whatever the particle is that, you know, makes your nose go crazy. There's really none of that in here, but that smell that could trigger that sensation or that feeling that something's about to happen, that's present in this right now. Oh, that's still way too hot. Oh, that's different. Ooh, it's sweeter. So if you buy Expedition Roaster stuff, buy a Clever. Buy a Clever because I think you're going to get what they expected people to get out of these coffees through a Clever. If you do it through a Chemex, it's just the weirdest contrast of bitter and strange and regret. But even though this is still too hot to drink, I jumped the gun there. Even though it's still too hot to drink, the flavor is so different. There's actually a hit of sweetness, whereas before there was really no sweet. There's still no heat from a chili, but it's less vegetal and more pepper, not spicy pepper, but pepper flavor. And there's just a little bit of a chocolate hit. So I'm getting that with the Clever, with this brew method, the brew method that would be similar to this. I think the AeroPress would be, as I said this yesterday, I think the AeroPress would be way too bitter because it uses pressure rather than gravity in order to get stuff through the coffee bed at the end. So that might extract just a little bit more, and that might need to be diluted quite a bit before it gets to any kind of a flavor like this. Yeah, it's not my favorite, but the difference is so stark. The bitterness is reduced by like 75%, I would say, because I mean it's coffee, so unless it's treated like thoroughly, you're still going to get a bitterness, and then the coffee flavor is right there, but you also get this interesting sweet hit with the chili, with a chili funk in there, and I think that's fair to say that the chili is funky. It's a funky chili, and it's a good chili, good funk, not bad funk, so. Okay. All right. So these, only do these in the Clever for me personally. If you get a big enough bag, if you have a Chemex and a Clever, compare and contrast, do you. That's the fun part of this. The fun part of this is your own experimentation, finding the correct ratio of water to coffee, finding the right coffee, and if you don't like something in the privacy of your own kitchen, you don't have to answer to anyone. You just like, ugh, this is gross, I can regift this, or ugh, this is gross, I don't want it in my house anymore, and throw it away. You don't owe anybody anything. You've already paid for it. So, I mean, you could say you owe yourself because you paid money for it, but I mean, if you're buying specialty roasted coffees, you're probably not that hurt to lose a $15 small investment that you don't enjoy and you don't really want anymore, Okay. All right. I get it. That's not bad. It's very interesting. As this mellows, you get a little bit of a salt kind of kick as well, which is very interesting. There's almost like a salty experience on your tongue as this cools down. It's like an aftertaste a little bit, which is fascinating. So, to wrap up, the new Jimmy Buffett intro did not get flagged, so I'll be using that maybe once a week, maybe every other week, depending. I'm trying to build a library. I might try to find something else to do that too. I love editing music. I like making it so there are breaks and changes, but to someone that's just listening, they can't hear it. So I'll sit there and scrutinize over milliseconds of moving lines around, of moving audio tracks around to try to make it so it not only hits the beat, it hits the beat perfectly. Just so there's really, the only way you can know that a transition happened is if you have listened to a song over and over and over again. So, and that's fun. I love doing that. It's one of my favorite things to do, is play with audio and music like that. It's good fun. It's a lot of fun. It's what I went to school for. I was doing it on 4-track reel-to-reel tapes, before anybody had a computer that could do such things at that college, And it's the same with doing video editing. It was tape to tape. It was VHS tape to VHS tape and 2 separate A and B decks and twiddling knobs on a analog box to edit in, edit out, and then it's A-roll, B-roll, and then the tape you're taping to. So like 3 tapes were involved. So yeah, it was a wild time back in the 1990s, late 90s, mid to late 90s, 95 to 99. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope that it is safe. I hope that it is comfortable, and I hope that you get things done. I guess all of those things do not necessarily have to happen at the same time, but I hope one leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. We will talk to you on Tuesday. Bye.